And welcome to the Central Florida Computer Society Windows SIG for March 8th, 2015. I'm Hewie Poplock. So let's get started with our Windows SIG for this month. Oh, there we go. And my screen is there. This is the WinSIG website, and I've listed all of the items that I want to cover today. We're going to spend about an hour, a little over an hour, talking about some of these things. We won't get to all of them, but I'll get to as many as I can. These are things that I found over the last month as I peruse the web. I make notes and save things in Evernote, and then go back and put together a list for this. First one's going to be on Facebook, and let's see. Let's switch over to that. And this one came from the Wall Street Journal, this particular article about it. But as we get older, and a lot of us in CFCS are older, we are losing friends. And some of our friends may say that about us sometime in the near future. And what if you have a Facebook page? What happens? What happens when you die? That Facebook stays there and nobody does anything. I'm getting notices from some of my from a few friends of mine who've passed away that their birthday, and occasionally Facebook takes their information and sends something out in their name, and it's almost scary, and it's definitely a an issue. And then also some people say, well, you know, who takes care of it? Some families want to just close a Facebook page, and some say, well, let their friends build a tribute to them on their Facebook page and allow it to happen. But who makes that decision? And you can now control that. And if you follow this article, there are ways in now which you can tell people if you pass away, what should be done with your what should be done with your Facebook page. And what you do is you give somebody permission to take it over after you die, and then they can do whatever you wish, hopefully. But they'll have the control of it. And Mike asked me to remind you that, let's see, Mike, I got to go back and find that in our notes here. And you said something, and let's see. I mentioned Gmail has a backup person if your account goes inactive. So you can go into if you've got a Gmail account, you can go in and set that up where somebody else could take it over if it goes inactive. In other words, if something happens to you and you don't use it, or if in fact you lose your password or something, you can use your friend or the person you assign, and they can get a password to you. Or I'm not quite sure how it works. Excuse me, but it does give you the ability to get back on. So you might want to read this article, make a note of it, and go ahead and set something up while you're thinking of it and while you're still alive on what should be done in case something happens to you and you're incapacitated, or, well, to put it bluntly, if you die. Okay, so let's flip back to our menu. I'm going to close this. Next article is how to find and change your Wi-Fi password. Once your laptop is connected to Wi-Fi, you feel no reason to remember the password. If you're not using a password program, which you should be, to keep track of your Wi-Fi password, you may forget it. Or if you get a new computer, or you get a new tablet or a phone and you want to connect to the Wi-Fi, you've got to have that password. So what you can do is you go to the command prompt, In the case of Wi-Fi password, you can use it to make a one-time solution which you can check anytime in the future. Basically, what you're going to be doing is creating a small batch file which will go out and find what your wireless password is. I'm not going to demonstrate it because I certainly don't want to give my password away. But what you do is they give you the code that you type in, and you save it as a text file. And then when you're connected to your wireless network, you double-click the file, and it starts up the command prompt and shows you some information. And that information will include the key content, which is what your Wi-Fi password would be. You can try that. I would try it when it works and you know what it is, just to verify that that's working. But this is a neat thing to have in your tools of, what if I forget my password, or what if I can't, I'm on another computer, how do I do this? And keep these notes somewhere so you can get in and get that file. Or if you're on somebody else's computer helping them, and they're on as an administrator, you can take the same file, run it, and get that password. Okay, I'm looking to see if there's anybody in the chat box, if anybody's written anything. No. You may not even see the chat box. I don't know. I think you can. I can on my iPad. Okay, so that's now. What about finding and changing it? If creating a batch file is too difficult for you, then there's a simpler way, but involves several clicks each time. And here's what you need to do. You open the run command, the Win key plus R, and then you type in ncpa.cpl in the text box and hit enter. And you'll get a dialog box similar to that. You'll see your network adapters. Right-click on your Wi-Fi connection, click Status, and then click the Wireless Properties, then Security tab, and check the Show Characters box. You should see that on your screen now. You don't see my mouse, so I can't point to it. Let's see, can I turn it on? The pointer doesn't show on my screen, so I can't turn it on. But it says Show Characters. When you do that, you'll be able to see what the network security key is. So, if there's no questions, and I don't see anything in the chat box, but you may not see it anyway, let's go back here. And occasionally, I want to give somebody an email address, and I don't want to bother giving them one of my ones that work instantly, and I don't want to use any of my normal email addresses. So what can you do? Well, what you can do is this. I didn't want to do it that way, so I'm going to hang on for 1 second. No, it's there. Okay, it's working. Okay, 5 online sources for disposable email. One of them is Fake Mail Generator. And Fake Mail Generator is the same people that do fake name generator. It's very simple. You just type the first part of an email in the box. Typing gibberish will do. And then you choose your domain in the drop-down menu. So they give you the domain, so you can't pick and choose what you want it to be. But then you press copy to copy the email address to the clipboard. When an email arrives, it arrives on the same page. The page constantly refreshes looking for new emails. Since this one requires no forwarding to your real address or registration in any way, it should be good for anonymous registrations on other sites. So you can wait. As soon as it registers you, it sends you something, you're there, you see what it says, you can do it, and then you can it's disposed of. There's another one called Throwaway Mail. And this one decides what the whole email address will be like. There's no options to customize the first half. So if for any reason you need a new address, you just click on Generate New Email Address, and link to another one will be provided for you. When emails arrive, they'll land on the main page. Again, no forwarding or registration required. Mail drop is another. You just enter the desired first half of the email address in the top right, and you'll be taken to that mailbox. You can wait for emails to arrive. There's two good things about it. One is your mailbox gets a direct link, so you can bookmark it and return to it. Secondly, each mailbox is also assigned an alias address. That's another address which forwards to the one you just made. Look at it as an extra layer of protection. Temp mail is yet another. When arriving at this site, you're assigned an email address. If you don't like that one for some reason, you can change it to something else. Just make sure it has the @fluorid.com domain at the end. He chose Grebo as the first half, and it's pretty basic, bare bones service, which suits somebody that's no frills person. Spam free world is another, and so there's 5 ways to set up a temporary email address to use for whatever nefarious purpose you have. All right, an altogether different subject. I thought this was a great idea. And the article says, call it 802.11 bah. You know, if I want to sound like a sheep, bah. Rural broadband experiment could use sheep as Wi-Fi hotspots. A new research project may look at ways to turn sheep into wandering, woolly Wi-Fi hotspots. This is in Wales, not here in the U.S. But researchers at Lancaster University have received a grant of about $260,000 to equip sheep with digital smart collars. The primary purpose is to track the herd's location and measure environmental conditions. However, the collars could also turn the herd into a Wi-Fi hotspot, helping better connectivity into rural areas. As the Atlantic notes, a herd of sheep can form a mesh network that transmits connectivity across large distances. Similar tests at northern Scandinavia have already looked at offering Wi-Fi to nomadic people through reindeer. And why does this matter? Well, it's all theoretical for now, but there's no word on when the researchers expect to start testing. But if it does turn out to be a practical idea, we'll have yet another reason to appreciate sheep. But the big thing is that we'll be able to get animals in rural areas to work as Wi-Fi hotspots. I proposed this article to a friend of PETA and other animal lovers, and said, "What do you think of this?" And to my surprise, they said, "This sounds like a great idea. And it doesn't, as long as it's not a collar that, as the animal grows, it grows around them and becomes too tight. There shouldn't be any reason not to be able to do it." So I was quite surprised at that. So I hope this works. It sounds like a great idea. Okay, what about adding a start menu to Windows 8? I know several of you that are on the recording right now use some of these, or are using one. You can have a Windows Start menu in Windows 8, Windows 8.1, and using third-party software. Classic Shell is one. That's the one that I have on this computer, and I also have it on my laptop, only because I bought the computer from Smart Guys, and he does put that on computers if he does any software setup on the computers that he's selling. And so he put it on there, so I didn't install it, but I certainly use it and really like it. The other one that I know several of you use, as I scroll down, and it does give you several pictures of what it is. I guess this article is mostly about it. But the other program is one from Stardock Software, which is the same company that does fences. And that particular one I believe it may be $5 or $8, but it also works very well, and I know some of you have been very happy with it. So Classic Shell is one. The other one is it's stardock.com, STARDOCK, Stardock, and they have one as well. Okay, the next article is how to take a screenshot of your start screen in Windows 8.1. Come on. Whoops, I hit the wrong article. Give me a second, folks. There we go. Why isn't it going there? I might have a bad link. All right, I'm going to skip that one. You'll have the link, and I'll double check the link. 10 surprising technologies that could change the world. Let's go through these, but let me make this bigger. Okay, this one's called Life Straw. It's an ingenious product capable of immediately filtering contaminated water and rendering it safe and drinkable. While the device cannot filter out viruses, it is nonetheless extremely helpful in areas where access to safe and clean drinking water isn't readily available. So it's like an instant filter within the straw. Another one is the SCIO Pocket Molecular Sensor, and it's a Kickstarter program. It has over $2.76 million in funding, and what the sensor does, it lets users scan and obtain information about the chemical makeup of materials and physical objects. Once an item is scanned, the chemical makeup is compared against items in a cloud-based database, and the information about the item is sent back to a smartphone. So I can tell you instantly, it's almost like a CSI where they can get answers immediately, where in real life it doesn't happen. That's what this will actually be able to do it in real time. The Sugru is available. I've purchased some, but I purchased it and never did use it. But it really is nice. It's like a Play-Doh on steroids, which say you can mold it, manipulate it. You can put it on a connector, for instance. It seals it, and it makes it very durable yet flexible, and it is waterproof. It's not very expensive, and it's available now. So if you click on the link, it'll take you, or do a search on Sugru, SUGRU. Great product. Liftware, I think I mentioned this at one of the previous meetings. It's Liftware, and it's now owned by Google. It's a series of products which operate to counteract hand tremors, especially those people with Parkinson's, so that they can eat and the food doesn't fall off the spoon as they're trying to get it to their mouth. Okay, come on. Go to the next item. There we go. This is a Kivo Bluetooth lock, touted as an advanced e-key. Kivo is a smart lock system that syncs with an iOS or Android system. Instead of fumbling around reaching for your keys, you simply take out your phone and tap to unlock. What makes this particularly cool is that you can send access codes to friends so they can enter your home without a physical copy of the key. You can also set up access codes with predetermined time constraints. Perfect for those times when you want to give a friend access to your apartment for a day, but not necessarily indefinitely. You can get one for about $200 at Best Buy. This is a XStat syringe, and what it does is it allows medical people to inject little tiny sponges, and they expand immediately and plug a fresh wound, thereby preventing the victim from bleeding out. When applied properly, the device can plug a wound in less than 15 seconds, much faster than traditional methods. It's received upwards of $5 million in funding from the U.S. military. Another one is the Circuit Scribe, a clever invention with over $500,000 in Kickstarter funding. The Circuit Scribe is a pen that writes with conductive silver ink. The result? Creating and experimenting with functional circuit designs is as simple as can be. You can pick up this product by clicking, there is a link, and you can actually get that product now. A fold scope, this is a microscope that literally is flat, and then you can put it and then make it into a workable microscope, and there's a video of the device with the link. And the final one, we can get to it, is a foldable bike helmet. So you can carry a bike helmet much easier than having this big clunky thing and then take it out of the pouch or whatever you have when you're going to start biking. I think that's all of them. Is there one more? Yeah, the virtual keyboard. I remember in Facebook, a couple of people have made comments about this. Neat idea, and the fact that it wasn't out yet, but apparently it is available, and you can get it for $119. It is Bluetooth. But you can literally have a keyboard just on a table using this little device that projects the keyboard. Probably not the best keyboard, but it certainly is convenient in those cases where you want to be able to type and a phone is just too small. Okay, the next one is Ask the Experts. Are your passwords good? This came to me from a newsletter, and I do have a copy of that newsletter, but that requires me to go out and come back and change the screen a little bit. And rather than doing that, let's just look at the two that they mentioned. One of them is one that Microsoft has to offer. If it'll come up. Here we go. This one's from Microsoft. Let me zoom in a little bit more. Excuse me. This one you can type in a password. I don't need this. You type in the password that you want, and it'll tell you how strong it is. Now, the one thing about the Microsoft one is a lot of it's by length of the word. So you'll find that the other password checker that we're going to demonstrate isn't actually I think is better, and so did the author, because this one, well, if it's not a real long one, it's still not going to say that it's not very good. But let's take a street name. I'm going to take a street, and I'm just going to take the street name, and it's weak. If I put the avenue or AVE after it, it's still weak. But if I go back to the beginning and I put the address, let's say that maybe I lived at, it's medium. So it's not too good. Now, if I say what city maybe after that, it gets stronger, and I add the state, still just strong, and then maybe a zip code. It's still it's strong, but it's not the very strongest. And so this isn't, to me, probably, to me would be a good password. According to Microsoft, it isn't. But let's look at the next one, which I think is a great password checker because it tells you exactly how good it is. So I'm going to take the same thing, and I'm going to say, here's the street. It's not very secure. Password could be cracked almost instantly. If I add the AVE at the end, it would it would give them, it'd take almost a minute to crack it. Now let's go back to the beginning, and I'll put the street address in. Take 37 years for a desktop PC to be able to crack that password. And what if I then add a zip code to it? And it doesn't necessarily have to be the zip code that it's in. It might be the one you live in now. But now it will take 2 billion years to crack your password. So most likely they're going to give up or die before they find it. So putting some things together and adding things that make sense to you is a great way in which to create your password. But here's a website that'll give you a pretty good idea of your password. Let's take a password that I use somewhere, since you can't see it. That would be instantly. Let me take another password that I use somewhere. It would take a year, probably fairly secure. Let's take another one that I used. And in this one, what I did is I transposed the letter O into zeros. That would take about 7 hours because it's a word that's not a standard word to begin with. Now, I'm now going to do a capital letter at the end, and then another word that's part of that phrase or statement that I have, and now it's 98 million years to crack it. So you can tell very quickly whether you have a good password or a bad password. Great site. It's howsecureismypassword.net, and it doesn't show them, it doesn't keep them, and they don't know it's from you anyway, and you can test out a few passwords that you use to see how secure they are. I think it's a great site to look at. Okay, how to uninstall a program in Windows 8. Let me close a few of these other tabs out. You won't see this. Okay, this one. Okay, how to uninstall a program in Windows 8. It's a pretty good article. Again, there's a link to it just by linking in the WinSIG page. He's talking about how to do it in Windows 7, but that doesn't work for you. The Start button in the desktop mode, you see all kinds of useful things. However, once you're in the control panel, you can uninstall a program. So in the, let's make this larger. So in the control panel, where it says Programs, you want to, and you can't see my pointer, but it says Programs almost in the center of the screen. And then right under it says Uninstall a Program. When you click on that, it starts populating all of your programs that are installed on your computer. Let's make that just a little bit bigger. And you highlight the one you want, and then you'll see at the top it says Organize or Uninstall. You just click the Uninstall button, and it will start uninstalling it. Now, there are two kinds of programs that run in Windows 8. The desktop programs, which run on the desktop and act much the way Windows programs always have. And then the modern apps, which are new to Windows 8 and are installed in the Windows Store. They typically run in full screen mode and resemble smartphone apps. Modern apps don't follow the same rules as the desktop ones. So those differences are how you uninstall them. So if you're not in a control panel, how do you uninstall a modern app? Well, you head to the Start screen, and then you right-click the app you want to uninstall. At the bottom of the screen, you'll find an Uninstall button, complete with a trash can icon. Click this, and then you'll see a prompt. And there's what it looks like. You click the Uninstall. Let me move that up just a hair more. You click the Uninstall, and it will uninstall. Now you'll know what to do. You click uninstall and the app is gone. That's it. And then there, of course, there's some third-party uninstallers. I know Mike has used, and I have too. One is mentioned here farther down, and that is the Revo uninstaller. It's not free. It is $40. Let's see. Roger had made a comment. Does Revo uninstaller work in Windows 8? And I believe the answer is yes. But as I understand it, Revo uninstaller is no longer free. And I could be wrong. Do they have a Windows 8 version? And the answer to that, it would be the latest version. With it, you can uninstall a program quickly just by right-clicking its desktop shortcut. And that's what it would look like. There's also a Komodo Programs Manager. That's free. Is also an uninstaller that you might want to try. So what are you uninstalling? We pointed out the best Windows software, but I'd like to know what you think is worse. So this guy's asking for some more opinions. Okay, so that's how you uninstall in Windows 8. How to take a screenshot in Windows 8 with no extra software. Now I just purchased Snagit because I haven't updated in several versions, and I did download it and install it on this computer because I'm doing some presentations and I need a lot of screenshots. But if you only need an occasional screenshot, but you want those screenshots to be in start screen mode, that's with all the blocks in it, your snapshot, or your snipping tool, I should say, does not work in the Windows start menu format. It only does on the desktop. So how do you take a screenshot in Windows 8 with no extra software? Well, that's quite easy, actually. To switch to the start screen and launch the app that you want. To take a screenshot, you hold the Windows key down and press the print screen button on your keyboard. When you do that, then you press the Windows E key for a combination to open up the Explorer to navigate to your pictures. So actually, as soon as you do that, it actually has snapped the picture. Then you open up your File Explorer and go to your Pictures library, and then in the left-hand panel, you'll see a newly created Snapshots folder, Screenshots folder. And you double-click on it, you open it, and when you do, you'll see the screenshot, and that's it. And I did one to test it, and it worked. So all you do is hit your Control and print screen, the Windows key and print screen, and then go look for the file, and it'll be in a folder called Screenshots in your libraries under Pictures. So that's how easy it is. Okay, the next one, how are we doing on time? About 45 minutes in? Okay. Is your favorite website spying on you? This is a large, well, let's make it bigger. I can still make it bigger, I believe. Let's see, I did this the other day and it worked. There we go. Is your favorite website spying on you? Who's tracking your browsing? By using Do Not Track Me or Ghostery, two leading privacy extensions that track the trackers, the web's biggest trackers can be revealed. Many of the worst culprits are household names. So we've got Google Family, we've got VeriSign GRS, we've got Microsoft, AOL Family, and several others. A small number of international corporations dominate the tracking, filing owned by third third-party domains and their trackers. Now, how many trackers are used on the world's 10 most popular websites? LinkedIn has 6 different trackers on their website. Amazon has 3. YouTube has 2. And then several others. Facebook has 1. However, this may simply demonstrate the sophistication of the tracking software. So how do they do it? Well, most tracking is done by cookies. Each cookie helps identify your preferred settings, load the right content, recognize your passwords, and so on. However, their website also can load content, flash images, social buttons, and ads from other servers that also send cookies. These third-party cookies track your browsing and feed info to advertisers. So there are several people that can be looking at your browsing and you not realize it. And that's why that sometimes when you sign into Facebook or you're on Google and you just searched for something, ads for those things start popping up. Well, because the cookies have told them, and now they're feeding you information about something you did a search on. So this is a diagram of how some of this can work. And what do the trackers do? What trackers do the top 50 websites use? They use analytics, they use beacons, they use widgets, and so on. Beacons give statistics on user behavior and interaction with pages across a website, providing insights of what you're finding interesting. You've got also advertising is the leading one. Analytics is where they can tell what you've done, where you've gone, what you've clicked on, and so on. Several programs use analytics, and there is a Google's analytics program as well. Analytics gives statistics on user behavior and interaction with pages. The advertising uses cookies to store information such as your login details and shopping. So when you go to a website and it says, do you want us to remember your password, the program can do it, but also the fact that you've been there, even if you say no, the next time you go and it knows who you are and says, oh, you've been here before, it's doing that through a cookie. These methods enhance your web experience. They enhance it, but they also are giving away a lot of information about you. So is it an invasion of privacy? Google and Facebook tracking was unrecognizable to both Do Not Track Me and Ghostery, 2 leading privacy extensions that track the trackers. This suggests that both sites use advanced proprietary software for their own tracking. And although you might want to stop tracking, some software is unblockable. Add this as one such program. Using a technique called canvas fingerprinting, it tracks browsing history to build a profile of the user. So how do you limit that tracking? While you can't eliminate trackers completely, you can take steps to keep them at bay. These guys will take you through the steps. I'm not going to go through all of them, but you can take a look at this link and take a look at what these guys are and how to do it. And in different browsers, there's different ways. You can use an incognito window. Firefox has the fact that you can tell it not to remember history. You can set it up not to accept third-party cookies and so on. So there's some things that you can do to set up. And again, Firefox has some privacy settings. Tell sites that I do not want to be tracked. Internet Explorer, there's ways to set it up. And then continuing on, there's Safari, and it goes on. I didn't capture all of it, but there are ways in all of the browsers to protect yourself. And you want to remember to do that if you're concerned about these things. Okay, the next item is 22 free and excellent programs. I think I may have covered some of these, or I've maybe even many of them before. Let me make this larger now. I'm just going to go through them quickly. You can again go through this slideshow yourself. By the way, I'm looking for a program that can take one of these slideshows and parse out all of the slides and all of the text, and then create a file for me. So if anybody knows of something like that, I did read one time about one. I didn't write down what it was, and I can't find it again. And to do the searches I've been trying doesn't work. Okay, warm up a browser before rolling up your sleeves and start slinging software around. Make sure you snag your web browser of choice. So not a bad idea to have all three of the major ones, and that would be Internet Explorer, Chrome, and Firefox. And there may even be one or more that you want to add, but it doesn't hurt to have more than one browser. There are some times you go to a website and it doesn't work properly. If you then open up the other another browser and it does, then you know that there's something wrong with that particular browser. Then with the latest update, there's a bug in it, or you've got a setting in it that doesn't allow you to do something that the other browser will. And then sometimes websites are created by somebody that only tests it using one particular browser, and it works with that one. They don't check it with all of them, and they don't even realize that it doesn't work with Firefox or with Chrome or with IE. So if you go to a website and it's not working, try one of the other browsers first before you start panicking on what to do. Ninite, I know Glenn has talked about this, Glenn Cofield from Smart Guys, and some other people have talked about it too. It's a great website to go to and makes loading up a new computer a breeze because it actually will install. You pick and choose free programs that are out there, and it will install them without all of the crapware that gets involved, and it does a nice job installing them. It does it directly from their website. AVG antivirus is free. I happen to use Avast on some computers, which is also free. I use the free version, very good as well. You know, it's a matter of your choice, but make sure you're not, when you install them, you're not telling it you want the trial version, which is then the paid version at the end. Then you have to try to figure out how to get back to the free version. Malwarebytes we talk about considerably is another program you should have on your computer. Not necessarily installed. You can run it without it being installed, but it's something that you do want to run on your computer on a regular basis. Roger's typing as we're doing something. He asked, can cleaning your cookies regularly stop sites and snooping on you? Roger, it will delete the information it has so far, but it does pick up information periodically. So I think you're better off deleting them if you're concerned, but I'm not sure whether it's a foolproof way of doing it. Because it just makes it more difficult for you the next time because they've already captured that information, but the cookie remembers it. So when you go back, and they're advertising what it will do. Sometimes they'll say, oh, they can check your cookies and say, oh, we've shown him this ad. Now we'll show him another ad. So you may see the same ads over and over again. Roger's also saying the guys from Refresh Computer recommend MS Security Essentials. If you use the Security Essentials, I believe that's an it's their, no, Defender's their antivirus. But yeah, their Security Essentials is very good as well. The PC Decrapifier is a program you should have in your arsenal. Benchmarking and stress test software. Do you really need something like that? Probably most of you know, but a few of you, it might be something you would want to have. Unlocker. What if Windows refuses to uninstall some programs? It tosses up the dreaded program is in use message. Fear not. The superb unlocker can neutralize pesky active processes, leaving the programs open to a slaughter. So simply right-click on the software you want to uninstall, select Unlocker from the content menu, and then unlock or kill them. Be mindful during installation process, Unlocker tries to install a lot of bloatware on your PC. Recuva, or Recuva. If you accidentally delete a program that you desperately need to get back, you can use Recuva. CCleaner, or CCleaner, is not the decrapifier. This is one similar, but it also will delete a lot of crapware that's out there and change some things and get rid of the cookies and so on for you. Secunia programs that aren't up to date usually have security holes in them. Secunia's personal software inspector hums along silently in the background, automatically keeping your software patched, or if it's unable to update an app for some reason, it notifies you. So I get a little nervous having these things running in the background because sometimes they'll run an update when an update is got issues, and it installs the update, and then the company says, wait a minute, don't install this anymore, we're having problems. I prefer to get a notification and then update it when I have the chance. So I'm not sure whether I like doing that sort of thing. The start menu replacement, we talked about that. Is the one I use is the shell, and then there's also a few others that are out there, and they mentioned here classic shells. The one I use in the StarDock Start 8. That runs $5. I said it was about $8. That's where I get the word 8. So either one of those are good. A program called Modern Mix. Many of the Windows 8 native programs, from Mail to Music to Internet Explorer, are modern style apps and forces you to take a jaunt into the start screen. Unless you have StarDock's Modern Mix, $5 utility that opens modern apps in desktop windows. So that's something you might want to try. VLC Media Player, very good. And there's also some add-ons for it that you want to make sure that you get. So on Windows 7 is incapable of playing DVDs out of the box, but VLC Media Player will do it. So and it's free. Paint.net, where you can actually, it's a freebie status. It's an image editor. Doesn't have all the bells and whistles of Photoshop, but it does pick up everything that most people need, even layer-based editing, and it costs hundreds of dollars less. So if you're a graphics professional and you can't afford Photoshop, you might want to take a look at Paint.net. OtraPDF. The Adobe Reader is a go-to PDF reader, but it's clunky, constantly updating, frequently targeted by malware peddlers. So you can use OtraPDF. It lacks the fancy features found in many full-featured PDF readers, but when it comes to straight-up reading portable document files, format files, it's fast and accurate. And by the way, if you're using the PDF reader that's built into Firefox, if you find that you're getting strange characters and the PDFs in Firefox don't work well, that's because they use their own internal PDF reader. and in some cases it doesn't do a very good job. So you might want to either download the PDF or try to open it with a some kind of a PDF reader other than the one built in. Another PDF program is CutePDF. You can transform a doc or a website image just about anything into a PDF. CutePDF is a freebie. It installs on as a printer driver. So what you do is you print, and then you choose CutePDF as the printer, and it will create a PDF file. And I'm not sure whether you realize it or not. In in Office 2010, Word 2010, and Word 2013, which is part of either Office 2013 or Office 365, you can save a Word document do a save as, and then go and change the type of file. You can save it as a PDF file. So you don't need a PDF program to be able to create a PDF file out of a Word document. You just save that document as, and then use the use Word to save it as a PDF. Now in Office 2013 and 365, Word of both of those, Word 2013 and Word from Office 365, you can actually take a PDF file, and what you do is you open Word and then open a file and choose a PDF, and it will open it and convert it to a Word document. That's built into Word now. So you don't even need a PDF editor or an OCR reader to read and convert your document from PDF to Word. 18 is WizMouse, small program that fixes major irritation in Windows. If you hover your mouse over a cursor over a window in Windows and try to use the scroll wheel, nothing happens. The program isn't currently selected app. The one in the forefront with focus is the one it is. It's a headache for using several programs simultaneously in numerous small windows. So what you want to do is try WizMouse. iTunes or Spotify to listen to music. A password manager of some type. They happen to mention some programs. No, that's just showing some sites. We've talked about, I use something called eWallet by Iliumsoft, but there's also RoboForm, FirstPass, LastPass. So there's several password managers out there. You should use one, at least one. Cloud storage, Microsoft SkyDrive, which is now called OneDrive, is very good. If you have Office 365, you can have up to 5. If you get the subscription base for $99, you can a year. You can have 5 computer users using that same version. Each one can get their own account of what was a limit of 1 terabyte of cloud storage, and now they make it, I believe it's unlimited, or practically unlimited. So each person can have that, and you can then access it using your iPad, iPhone, Android, or your PC, or even a Mac through the web. You can then download or open any of those files. And of course, there's Dropbox, and there's other cloud storage spaces out there. You should be using one or more to store things. Now, the one thing I have about Dropbox that I don't like is, number one, you're limited in the space unless you purchase. And if you're sharing a bunch of folders with people and they fill it up, it may fill up your Dropbox to the point where you can't use it. So you need more storage somewhere, and some of them are free. Some of them are very inexpensive. Some can get quite pricey. Dropbox is very good, and a lot of things use it, and you can save to it very easily through several programs, but you've got to pay about $100 a year for that as well, about $10 a month. For I can't remember how much it is, and I know the Microsoft one, OneDrive, you can purchase more if you don't have have an account that gives you a terabyte or more. So, but I have found that what I'm concerned about with the fact that I have a terabyte of storage out there, if I start filling it up, it keeps a copy of everything that's there on my hard drive. Well, I could fill my hard drive up trying to store it in the cloud. Well, there is a way in which you can say, okay, just give me a link to everything that's in the cloud or to some of it that's in the cloud, and then when you want it, it actually will then download it and open it at that point. So you can use it as a cloud storage as well as just a cloud backup or a duplicate copy. Productivity suites. There's OpenOffice, LibreOffice, Google Docs, as well as, of course, Microsoft Office. And something called Steam. It's all work and no play. It's some kind of a game. And you can read about it there. And the 24th slide on here is why stop here. There's other programs. So that's it for those 24 programs. I was hoping to talk a little bit about net neutrality. I don't think I'm going to have time today, and because we're not in the environment of the group. But I think you'll find this is a good article that explains why the FCC's new net neutrality rules are good for the internet and good for us as end users. Some of the big ISPs don't like it because they were hoping to be able to charge more for faster services and so on, and for companies. And so that, say, Netflix, when they were first starting, they wouldn't have been able to afford the fast download that they would have to pay ISPs for, and so they probably would not have succeeded. But other companies that are doing streaming that already have that access and have the cash, they could purchase the fast download ability where a new company might not be able to, so it would stifle their growth and make it harder for us as end users to get new and better streaming services. So take a look at that article. It kind of explains why this author feels it's good and why I kind of agree. But there are some people who just don't want government involved in any way. But then I think we're going to run into some issues. Okay, I'm going to skip the search content of your files. You can go to that file as well. Anatomy of a Hack, I think, is a great article because it explains how the hackers actually work and how certain passwords are better than others and why. And so I think it's a great article for those of you who are inquisitive and wondering how the bad guys do it. This article will fill in that information for you. I believe I got this from the TechSig, but I'm not sure. The Windows Repair Toolbox. It looks like a program. I've not looked at it yet. I've not tried it. I have looked at this article, but the article explains. Let me make it a little bit larger here. There's tools, there's malware removal, there's final tests, there's notes, settings, and so on. So there's different things that you can check and repair. This is not a tool for those who don't know what they're doing. You can get yourself into a lot of trouble and maybe make your computer so it doesn't work. So unless you know what you're doing, this is probably not a good program to take a look at and to test out. And my final article that I'm covering is that the fact that Microsoft Windows and Microsoft has confirmed that there is a vulnerable freak attack that can happen to any version of Windows, and they're working on it. So when it was first announced, it was thought the newly discovered flaw in SSL, which is security, and TLS, which is another security way for the web, was limited to Apple's Safari and Google's Android web browsers, opening the possibility of hackers and intelligence agencies intercepting HTTPS, the ones with the lock, protected internet communications with hundreds of thousands of websites. However, Microsoft now has discovered that they are also vulnerable. So they're obviously working on a way to prevent it. But it's something that you need to be aware of. You might want to check it and then make sure that you update Windows on a regular basis, so you can update and keep your Windows up to date. So as they figure out how to prevent these attacks, that they will be able to you'll update it, and then they won't be able to get into your system. Okay, so on that note, we've covered all of the items, or at least touch base with them. I don't see any other questions in the box, in the chat box. And so I am going to stop sharing my screen, I hope. You should see me in the on the screen. Somebody is typing. See if there's any final questions before we call it a day. Let me go ahead and bring up the CFCS logo. Okay, just thanks from Norm, and I appreciate it. I'm sorry the people at the meeting didn't get to see us, but they'll be able to get the recording. I will post it somewhere and send out through the TechSig and feed it to Sheila for the weekly and Cheryl for the website, so you'll be able to take a look at it and then go over anything I covered. So thanks for joining me. And this is the Windows SIG for March 8th, 2015. My name is Hewie Poplock. It does Hewie Poplock. And again, for the Central Florida Computer Society and the Windows Special Interest Group. And that's hewie.net/WinSIG. And you can get the notes from each meeting going back to 2008. We thank you for joining us. And with that, we'll start some music and then close her off. Thank you.